guys, this is Keisha Renee and I'm coming back to you with a video for my main channel, and it's basically long distance relationships in general, but mine is a long distance marriage. I am married. I've been married for coming up on 4 years now, and most of that time we've been separated. So I am going to give you a few tricks and tips on how to make it durable, how to make it work. And if you have kids, we have kids. We have a son together, and he has 2 daughters. And so therefore, we're in a long distance relationship with a child involved. And yes, the child lives with me. We're not. So these are tips and tricks on how to make it work. Stay tuned. Tip number 1, and I know it's like, girl, but for us it works. These are the tips that works for us, and we are Christian. We're a Christian family. So number 1, off rip, is keeping God in your relationship. Especially if God started it, you have to keep him at the focal point. You have to keep him in everything. And so basically, if arguments do arise, you have to be like, what did God say? Let's go to the Bible. Let's read about it. Let's pray about it. That's the end of it. What God says, that's it. In our relationship, that's how it goes. There's no way around it. God has to be at the focal point, because we can't do it in our own power to make it work, because we're human. When he makes me mad, it's like, I'm mad. If I make him mad, he's mad. So we're human. So God has to be in it from the beginning. So that's tip number 1 for me, for our relationship. That's how it goes. Another tip is talk about what you want out of the relationship. And that's for if you're dating. And I will have a video of dating with intentions, dating with a goal in the end. But if you're dating, you have to talk about your relationship. Where's it going? Why are we in a relationship to be start of it? What do we have in common? Are you on my same level? And it's not to be shady, but I mean, at the end of the day, if he's bringing in millions and you working at, I'm not saying nothing's wrong with working at McDonald's, but if that's your end goal, let's put it that way. If that's all you see yourself doing in life is working at McDonald's, y'all, he needs to be like, girl. And then vice versa. If you have your business and if you're career oriented and if you're going, and if you're like a doctor or a nurse or a teacher or whatever, and you're got goals set up in your life along the way, and all he sees is himself being the trap king, y'all, you need to talk about your relationship. You need to talk about your goals. You need to talk about finances and what does that mean. Like, a lot of times we get in relationships and we don't know what finances even mean in a relationship. And what I mean by, yeah, you know what finances are, but when you're in a relationship, finances are a whole different ballgame. It is, okay, what goes, you have this bill, I have this bill, we brought it together in a marriage. Whose priority of the bill is it? Like, is my bill priority just because it's my bill, or is it yours? You have to know how to compromise and communicate these things to each other. And it's hard. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you that it's easy. Marriage is hard, and adding distance between it makes it 10 times harder. Marriage is already hard, and you're adding distance in it. So another tip is communication. You have to communicate. You have to get your point across to that person without stepping on them. You have to communicate to that person without bringing them down. You have to communicate to that person the things that you want in life, the things that you see yourself wanting in life. So communication is keeping an open line. And it's hard in my case because we're 6 hours different. I live in Germany, he lives in Florida. So therefore, sometimes it's been plenty of nights where we have not talked because of distance, because I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I'm trying to go to sleep. I have a 4-year-old running around all day that I'm chasing, so sometimes I have to make the sacrifice the next day to stay up to wait for him to get off work, which is at 7:30, which is 1 in the morning for me, so we can communicate and talk about things. And then I have to get up and go to work the next morning. Lovely. But that's why coffee, Red Bull, if you want something to work, it's gonna work out. If you don't want it to work, and also, but at the same time, it takes 2 people. 2 people are involved in this relationship. Both of you guys have to want it. The next tip I have for you is understanding. Understanding, I'm gonna put understanding and patience go hand in hand. Understanding, you have to understand what this person is trying to communicate. There's that word again. To you, if you are arguing. And even if you're not arguing, over the phone, through text, through email, a lot of things could get misconstrued, and you have to understand. So in the conversation, it has to be, so what I heard you say is this. Is that what you meant? You have to ask those questions, because you could just come out and say, boy, what the... and you just misunderstood everything that he was trying to tell you. So you have to have understanding and patience, and you have to have that word trust. At the end of the day, you have to trust your partner, whether he's your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever. You have to trust them in any situation, because it doesn't matter if you're there in the same city as them, if you're in the relationship with them. If you don't trust them, it's always going to be a never-ending battle. So distance, a lot of things misconstrue with, oh, you're in a long-distance relationship, it's never going to work out. It doesn't work out if you're in the same city as them, if you don't trust them. So you have to trust, you have to understand, you have to have patience with that person. And quick rundown, me and my husband, we dated for 3 years. Let me think. 11, 12, 13. We dated for 4 years before we got married. I'm not saying you have to date that long, but we did. And has stuff come up in our relationship? Yes. Being long distance? Yes. Has trust falling? Yes. Has things happen? Yes. But you have to get it back on track. And at the end of the day, you have to make it a point that we're either going to work this out or we're not. And so with that being said, we met in 2011, July 2011, we met. He officially asked me to be with him August of 2011. And we dated from, 2011. We had our son in January, and he had 2 daughters. So communication for us is a lot more different than communication for an average relationship who's just with each other. We have to communicate. He had to communicate to me about his baby mother. He had to communicate to me about his children. It's a lot of that goes in when you're signing up to date somebody with a child. And I will do a video about that, dating somebody with a child or children. And because it's not just you two involved, you have another person or another set of people, because that mother may have, or that father may have, a significant other. So you have to, you know, have communication all around the board. So we had our son January 2013, and then we got married. We got married August 14th, 2014. So our anniversary is coming up, and he left for work. I'm saying like he left. No, he didn't leave us. He left for work. No, for November 2014, I believe, or was it December? November 2000. So we only been married 3 months, guys, and we were in a long distance relationship due to his job. And I live in Germany. For my parents are here and stuff like that. So this is why. And his job, he was traveling. For like, he would only stay at cities for maybe 2-3 months. So we decided I stay here and he'll visit. Another tip is to FaceTime, Skype. Sometimes talking on the phone is just not what it is. So if you have FaceTime, Skype, WhatsApp, I think has video now. So sometimes you just have to look at them and ask them questions and see their reactions, because you know their face, you know, depending on how long you've been in a relationship with them, you know their reactions, you know their keys, you know their body language. So sometimes face-to-face interactions is key. And another point is, on the FaceTime, is have you guys' time, like have a date night on FaceTime. And have a date night on FaceTime. You have to keep romance in your relationship even when you're not together. So you have to have those Skype dates. You have to have those FaceTime dates, just to, yes, you have trust, but just to see them and to see what's going on with them. Because like with men, I know for my husband, if something's wrong, he doesn't necessarily say something's wrong. So sometimes I ask him to get on FaceTime so I can see his face and see, what, are you okay? Are you good? Or are you not good? Because he has situations going on with his daughter, which is a whole nother story. We will get into that. So he does have situations going on with his daughters that is hurting him inside, and the fact that he's not around his son a lot also hurts him as well. So he has a lot emotionally that he's dealing with, but he is, you know, I guess taking one for the team. He's providing for his family, just not in the same country as us. So that's stressful, and so you have to have FaceTime, and you have to have that alone time, and you have to have those serious talk without the kids running around, without the kids screaming, I want to talk, daddy, I want to talk, daddy, it's my turn, it's my turn. So you have to set aside that time to talk to them alone, to talk to them by yourself. So if that's you having to stay up whenever your kids go to bed, a lot of times when I do want to talk to him, I put him in bed earlier. Our son, I put him in bed just earlier, like 30 minutes to an hour earlier, so I could be ready to talk to him. And if we have to pray, pray on the phone, and whatever it may be. Next tip is, you have to talk about money before you leave, before you whatever. This is primarily pertaining to marriage, but there's some singles out there who's dating, who share a bank account with their significant other. So you have to, you know, talk about your finances. Basically, I get paid this day, you get paid this day, what needs to come out? Like, I know with him, we have to get him a new car because that car is draining. our finances. It was just a car that we got for him to get back and forth, but because he moved, like, it was okay when he was living like 5 minutes from his job, but now he lives like, I want to say like 20 to 30 minutes away from his job, and that car is not meant for that. So, you know, tires broke, broke tires popped, and it's just a lot. So you have to talk about finance. You have to talk about what's coming in, what's going out. You can't just take money and then be like, oh, I had to fix something. You have to fix what? Because $200 just came out the account, and I had to pay daycare. I had to pay, you know, you have to talk about that. Like, main issues. You're living in two different households. So you have his bills that he's creating, which is his house. He has to pay for rent. He has to pay for gas. He has to pay for things like that. I have to pay for rent. I have to pay for gas. I have to pay for food. He has to pay for food. So these things you have to talk about. Like, what is our projected goal? Basically for us, $50 in our bank account, or $100 in our bank account, we're broke. That's it. No more. Don't touch it. That's it. Like, you know, and you know, the numbers, like, for you, it could be $10 in your bank account, $5, but something has to be in your bank account to say stop spending. Like, that's it. So you have to talk about money. It's the number one reasons why people get a divorce. So it needs to be talked about. What bill are we paying off this month? You're married. Two debts came into the relationship together. And another thing with that, with another video, reasons not to get married, I'm gonna do something about it. You might want to pay off your debts before you get in a relationship, because when you get in a relationship, you have to categorize things. Whose bills are getting paid off first? We need to build our credit. It's a lot of things that has to take place before you just jump into a marriage. And if you jump into a marriage and then you're long distance, there's a lot of things that involve long distance. There's a lot of people who's in the military. You have long distance. You're just not in the same state, and nobody wants to move because job situations. It's stuff like that. And you have to talk about finances, whether you get separate bank accounts or joint bank accounts. You still have to talk about finances. That's just the end of it. And especially if you have kids involved, and because kids have daycare, they have clothes. Like, my son is pretty small, so this year it worked out where we didn't have to buy summer clothes for him because he could fit everything we bought him last year. But fall's coming up and he needs a lot of fall clothes. So we have to talk about that coming up in the next week. So probably tonight when I get on the phone with him, that's what we're talking about. We have to talk about not only getting his stuff. The girls start school in maybe 2 weeks. I'm trying to think. 2 or 3 weeks. So we have to get school supplies. These things have to be talked about. What is the budget? We already have a budget set of what we're spending on them for school. So it just has to be purchased. Whether I'm purchasing online, because last year I purchased stuff online and I had it sent to them. Even though he's in the same city as them, he doesn't see them often. And that sucks, but that will be a part of another video. And with that, keep each other updated. You have to keep each other updated through your life. Your routines, your schedules, your goals, your dislikes. You have to be honest. if that's your partner in life, you have to be honest with them and sincerely say, you have to go back to kindergarten mode in a relationship. And these are relationship goals in period. Whether you get to talk to them face to face every day, or you don't get to talk to, you have to be honest. And and you have to be vulnerable, and you have to be trustworthy in everything. And the whole vulnerability thing goes back to being like a kindergarten. What do we tell kids when somebody hits them or kicks them? And this is coming, sorry guys, I am a education person, so you have to communicate with them. We tell them, tell the person, I don't like it, I didn't care for that, or that hurt my feelings. You have to, that's how you have to be with your significant other, because they can't read your mind. I know movies have us thinking, oh, they should know, they should know what I want. I married them, they should know. But at the end of the day, they don't. So you have to be like, I had a bad day, I do not want to talk right now, or let me get myself together, or, you know, that hurt my feelings, what you said. And explain to them why it hurt your feelings. You can't just say that hurt my feelings. We are adults. That hurt my feelings, and explain to them why it hurt your feelings. And explain to them why you don't see their point of view. But at the same time, when you're explaining why you don't see their point of view, you need to give options and suggestions of how they could make it better. Or just don't put the person down completely. Like, you have something negative to say to that person, which we all do, say something positive too. Like, I didn't like that, your attitude, your something, but I appreciate you telling me that, you know, something of that nature. Because we're two people trying to come together in a marriage. Like I said, marriage is hard in general, so to put distance on it, it just makes it harder. Number 12 is like fun. Watch shows together. Me and my husband, when we're together, we watch a lot of shows. That's our date night, to put it that way, because right now our son is 4, and when I do go and visit him, there's not a lot of people that I trust to watch him. And so when he goes to bed, we watch shows together, we play games together, we do crossword puzzles together. And as TMI as it may sound, sometimes we just sit in the bathroom and talk together. But you have to, you know, you have to have that time together. And if you're on FaceTime and you're not talking to each other, because at the time everything's good, watch your favorite shows together. It's just as simple as that. Like, me and him had a kick out of watching How to Get Away with Murder together. Like, best time ever. Just spending that time with him. Not, you know, just being with him and watching shows together. So find something that you can relate to, that you like together, and that you set time apart from the day and just watch it together. And that it will change a lot of stressful parts about a long distance relationship. And also, send care packages. If you miss them, send them a care package. And that's great if you have kids too, because kids can write letters to their dad or to their moms and put something that they're liking at the moment for them. Like, kids change daily, and you know, your significant other is missing out a lot on that child's change and progressions. All they get is pictures, phone calls, and stuff like that. So you could show them, like, I need to get our son to write for him, so his dad could see. The last time his dad seen him in person was March, and from March and now it's July, he has formed writing his letters, like writing his name. So I have to let him write on papers and fold it up and send it to his dad so his dad could see that, like, he's changed in 3 months. And the next time his dad will see him is in, I think, December for Christmas, and then he'll stay through his birthday. And with that being said, you got to pull weight. You have to pull your own individual weight. So therefore, if I travel to him, he needs to travel to me the next time. If he traveled to me, I need to travel. You have to make it work. And also pulling weight on, I know it's hard, but hey, put him to bed tonight. In long distance relationships, the other one can put them to bed. Or if CJ's doing something, Chris will step in and be like, he'll talk to him, and CJ act better. CJ give me a hug, and he's like, I'm sorry, mommy, and that's because Dad stepped in and talked to him. So you have to find ways to keep each other involved with, especially if you have children. Find ways to keep them involved. If I'm always with CJ, sometimes Chris has to be the disciplinarian in that situation, because it's like I'm always with him, and he's like, he's 4, and at the end of the day, it's like he doesn't understand. So you have to make that connection with your children and show them and teach them that, yes, Daddy's away, but Chris knows when Daddy wants to talk to him, when he's like, put him on the phone, he knows. And he's 4. So, keep your kids engaged. And even at 4, his attention span on the phone is not long. So I have to be like, CJ, calm down, stop, talk to your dad. And sometimes he'll talk for like 2 seconds, and then the other times he'll talk for a minute, and even to the point where he has an iPad and his dad's number is programmed in his iPad, and he'll call him. So sometimes I don't always have to call him, but sometimes he doesn't understand when Daddy doesn't pick up the phone, that he may be asleep, he's tired, or that he's at work and he gets mad. And so you have to deal with that on top of that, and explain to the child why the other person may not have picked up the phone. Not that they don't love you, but Daddy has to work, and our Daddy has to sleep so he could be productive, so he could talk to you later. So another tip is, do not listen to outsiders. And when I say that, don't get me wrong, listen to outsiders who have wisdom. Listen to those who has the best interest for you, and who sees, the best for you. But don't listen to outsiders who's just always talking negative, and who's always putting you down, and who's always saying, like, this is not gonna work, just X them out the equation. Don't listen to them. Make short and long-term plans with each other. So short term is, like, with us being so far apart, is our short-term plan right now is, I'm coming to see you and CJ in December. Long-term plans is basically how are we going to be together? I mean, at the end of the day, that question has to, what are we doing to get back in the same household, basically, is a long term. So right now we're taking steps and seeing, because long distance, some people do it forever, but that's just not for us. So that's not what we're going to be doing. We've already did it for coming up on 4 years. Yeah, enough is enough. We're over it. And last but not least is always say good morning and always say good night. Even if you don't have, like, even if you don't talk throughout the day, at least send them something. Good morning, I love you, I'm praying for you, have a blessed day. And then sometimes you don't have the communication because he's at work when it's time for us to go to bed, and he sleep when we're waking up. So you have to keep it going. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's two people. Like, I'm talking to you and I'm the one person, but you don't see my husband. It's two people involved. You have to realize that. So at the end of the day, if the other person doesn't want to go 100% in, it's not 50-50, guys. Marriage is not 50-50. I don't know who lied to somebody. Sometimes I'm putting in 90 and he's putting in 10. And sometimes vice versa. And sometimes you do get a 50-50 split. And sometimes you get 70. Like, it's not 50-50. It's give and take. It's take and give. And at the end of the day, you have to set up what you have to put out what you want in return. And like I said, do I do these things every day? No. Do you have to be intentional about these things? Yes, you do. You have to make it a point to do these things so your relationship could work, so it could flourish, and so it could grow. And like they say, distance makes the heart grow fonder, guys. So thanks for watching.